Music Director of the VSO Symphony Orchestra, and welcome to our video series, Circle of Friends. In today's episode, I'm going to be interviewing Bruce Chrisp. He's our principal trombonist, but he's also a board member of the orchestra. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Maestro.
Oh, please, please. It's Mr. Maestro to you.
Mr. Maestro.
So Bruce, one of the reasons why I want to speak to you is because you're a fascinating individual. Not only are you a brilliant trombonist, you've also served on negotiating committees for various festivals and orchestras. You're a great player, and you're also a board member of the VSO Symphony Orchestra. So you're sort of seeing the business from lots of different perspectives.
It has definitely changed the way I look at things. I see a lot of work that's done by boards that behind the scenes that is going fairly unappreciated by the musicians. Also, work that the music director does, I think that a lot of that goes underappreciated by the musicians. The stuff that goes on behind the scenes, programming decisions that are based on, financial things and what really serves the vision and how do you weigh that, things like that. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into that. And I think that a lot of musicians appreciate it, but I don't think that they could possibly appreciate it as much as if they saw it. But I also see the other way. There are some boards that don't appreciate the musicians nearly enough.
Right.
They appreciate the product. They appreciate the art. I think they appreciate the final package. But I don't think that they can. It's the same thing. How could you possibly appreciate what it took to get to that point from every individual involved? It's just so... It's an overwhelming thought to think of all of the effort that went into bringing that, not just in the rehearsals and the concert for that set, or not even just that season, but the years and decades that people have put into it, more or less with 100% of their effort,
There's that whole adage, 10,000 hours to become great at anything. And I think we have all spent far more than 10,000 hours now at our craft.
Still are not great.
I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, the level of dedication, hard work, and literally banging your head against the wall sometimes. I know I've done that when things aren't clicking as both a conductor, but also as a musician. When you're practicing, when you're studying, you can't get past certain impasses. There's an emotional aspect of how one gets to the next phase of excellence as a performer. I've never gotten a degree in medicine or anything, or a doctorate of philosophy, but the amount of hours that are required to become a great musician are commensurate with those of any profession, I would have thought.
Yeah, I would think more even.
Yeah.
Because you don't start medical school when you're 5.
That's true. So why do we do it, Bruce? It's not for the money, is it?
That's what I was going to say. It's definitely not for the money, and that's what's so admirable about it. It's for some other higher need that we have.
Okay. Mental anguish, physical problems, no money. But you do it because you love it. There's also, I think, a deeper reason why we do it. There's this sense of music making as a community effort. It's this idea of a community getting together behind a musical event that makes the event more than the sum total of all its constituent parts.
The performance brings a higher existence level in those moments.
Right.
Almost out-of-body experiences sometimes. And even though those don't really happen that often, I think for most people, that when they do happen, that's what you're going for. That's what you're waiting for those and searching for those moments to happen where you have this just unbelievable... I mean, I've had it a few times. I mean, more than a few times, but it definitely doesn't even happen every year.
I totally know what you mean. And I've got a question for you. These special experiences that we feel occasionally when listening to music or performing music, they're obviously individual response to what's happening, but do they happen alone or do they happen with lots of other people?
For me, they've always happened to other people. The last one, well, I shouldn't say the last one, but one of the most phenomenal ones for me, I can share one with you, which is I was called to play Gotterdammerung with San Francisco Opera at the last minute. I was called at I think 11:30 a.m. on a Sunday, and the gig started at 1. And I was at a gig when I got called. I was doing a graduation ceremony. I was in a pit in a hall over on Mare Island, actually, in Vallejo. I drove as fast as I could safely to the opera. I had to park at the stage door. I got there 5 minutes before the downbeat. They parked my car for me at the stage door. That was so amazing to just sight read Gotterdammerung in, I think it was their final performance that year.
Right.
And the music is so overwhelming. And we got to the end, and I was realizing it was almost over, and I started to cry because it was so beautiful, and just like that music just goes through you.
Speaking of a sense of community and special experiences, one thing that I really cherish about my involvement with the Vallejo Symphony is, well, of course, the fine musicians in the orchestra, but it's also the venue, the Empress Theater, because it's really, really intimate, and yet it feels like a real hall inside, I suppose, because of the shoebox nature of its dimensions inside. And then there is, of course, the level of support that we've been achieving over the past few seasons.
I've been blown away by how we have had so much more ticket sales and people coming over the last couple of years since you've taken over, and the fact that we've had to add a second concert just so we can serve the community, because there were more people that wanted to come than could come. And I don't know of too many orchestras that have that problem, especially not around the Bay Area. The Vallejo Symphony has always been a very nice, warm community feel, more so than anywhere else I play. People are there because they want to make music. Something about it has always kept my interest, and it's just that community feel is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like a community orchestra in that it's volunteer, because it isn't, obviously. Everyone is paid, but it still has that we're going to make this sound better than it has any right sounding.
Bruce, you've been with the orchestra quite some time, haven't you?
I have. 31 years. 31
That's
years.
extraordinary.
It was the first audition I ever won.
Wow. And have you been with the orchestra since then without break?
Yeah, I mean, there have been some seasons I haven't played.
As a member of the board, you're obviously involved with governance, and being a player representative on the board, I think is really, really important, because it brings a perspective to an orchestra board that I think sometimes can be overlooked. But there's this sense of bringing an artistic perspective to board proceedings that I think is really, really valuable. One of the things that you bring, and also I have to say by extension your wonderful wife, Gabriela Wunsch, is that you've started offering the orchestra private salon concerts to benefit the Vallejo Symphony Orchestra, which I've been totally, totally blown away by.
So we have this amazing piano in our living room now. We've had it for a little over 2 years, and it's a really special, very rare instrument. It's a Centennial Grand Steinway, and they started making them in 1876, and they sent a couple to the 1876 World's Fair, but it was for the 100th anniversary of the United States, so they made this special piano, and it was a concert grand, what we think of as a concert grand today. For the most part, it was that. But the thing that's cool is they only built, I think, around 400 of them, slightly over 400, and they were developing the concert grand piano as they went. So each one they would try something new. So each piano is a unique instrument. It has its own set of parts that they made just for that piano. Or the case was different, or the legs were different. They changed something on every single one. And then our piano was built in 1883, and the next year they came out with the Concert D, and it was based on this development that they'd done. So this piano is just like a Concert D, except it's not. It's actually, to me, it has a different sound. It has a bassoon-like quality to it. It's a very rich kind of chewy sound, and the piano is about 200 pounds heavier than a Concert D.
It's a gorgeous instrument, and what really strikes me about listening to it in your house is the fact that it looks like it would overwhelm your space, but in fact, there's this wonderful level of warmth and intimacy, but also power that never overwhelms the room.
It surprised us too, and when we bought the house, we actually auditioned that room for music in particular, for obvious reasons. Somehow it works, and it doesn't completely overwhelm you. It gets pretty loud. The piano does get pretty loud, but I can't get enough of it.
One of the things that I'm really pleased with, well, first of all, the fact that you and Gabriella are so generous. I mean, Gabriella's a spectacular cook as well, and the nibbles are amazing. The wine's always great. The music is always first rate. But one of the aspects of these benefit concerts is the fact that we present an upcoming soloist for the season afterwards.
Right, that has worked out really well. It's really nice for us to be able to give them opportunity to play with a full orchestra, and it's a great gift for them to play the gala that we do, the salon concert that we do at our house.
For anyone watching this, if you ever have a chance to go to one of these benefit concerts at Bruce and Gabriella's house, I utterly recommend it because the programming is amazing. And it's not just the pianist, it's actually Gabriella, and even you perform as well, which I find so moving. For instance, the last concert you did was based on the Robert Schumann Circle. And there was this idea of Robert Schumann's circle of friends. And it really felt like there was a circle of friends performing for another circle of friends. I mean, it really spoke to this idea of community, a really intense version of what I'm certainly trying to achieve in Vallejo, the Vallejo Symphony proper. What is the reality of life as a freelancer in the Bay Area with the COVID-19 pandemic?
It's hard to say. It's an unknown reality in the future because we just don't know how long this is going to be. There are some orchestras that are planning to do streamed concerts that I'm in. I am trying to keep creatively active. So I'm doing tons and tons of recording all the time. I'm recording every day. I get up in the morning, I have my coffee, and I start recording. And I have a list now that's this long of what I want to do, which is great because I'm very busy.
Yes.
So that's nice. And I've been releasing just things here and there on the internet, Facebook, YouTube. But a lot of it's just been learning how to record, how to be a recording engineer, how to be someone who can do mastering, mixing, all of that. It's all new for me, so it's really exciting and fun. Yeah. But it also allows me to be very creative. I've been doing my own arrangements a lot. I've started a project where I'm recording TV themes, one a week, hopefully. So I've come out with the first one already.
Which was, by the way, a perfect one. Quincy Jones soundtrack to Sanford and Son.
Yeah, that is one of my favorites, and probably my favorite, which is why I chose to do it first. But I have so many that I love. So.